What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm giving you guys my predictions for SummerSlam. SummerSlam is not only taking place on one night this year, it's taking place on 2 nights this year. Yes, you heard it here. We are getting a 2-night SummerSlam taking over from Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to go through my predictions, give you guys my thoughts and opinions on these matches, who I have winning these matches, and ultimately where these matches could potentially lead to depending on the outcome and who wins. Now, currently, right now, we only have 12 matches that are confirmed to be taking place, but there's always a possibility we might get another match to be added on SmackDown or something like that. But I doubt that they would add another match, but we can't, it's wrestling. We can always end up speculating that there's possibly another match. And then maybe we'll also talk about if we are going to get some potential returns, because usually WrestleMania and SummerSlam always end up having some big marquee returns, and sometimes and they always end up helping storylines progress and stuff like that. So we're gonna probably mention that as well. Now we're gonna start off with night one, and then we're gonna go into night two. So night one, we're kicking off with the women's championship match. We have Tiffany Stratton defending the women's championship against Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill ended up winning a Queen of the Ring tournament, which gave her an opportunity to compete for this championship at SummerSlam. Now we all know that they've been kind of somewhat teasing this since after WrestleMania when Tiffany Stratton overcame Charlotte and everything like that. They were kind of teasing that on the Friday Night SmackDown after we did get some shenanigans that kind of put everything on hold. But now we're kind of back where we started, and I would expect Jade Cargill to get the win here. I think WWE wants to position her as a top star regardless of what we may feel about it. Because me personally, I've said it very clearly, I'm not the biggest Jade Cargill fan, but I understand that the WWE pretty much wants to position her as a top star. My thing with Jade Cargill is I don't feel like she's ready for the main event scene. That might get some people riled up, but that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying she can't be a main eventer. I just don't think right now is the time to have her as the champion. I don't think she's really giving me enough to where I can see her carrying the division and carrying the title and stuff like that. But I do expect Jade Cargill to get the win, and then maybe from there we do maybe potentially have a draft. Maybe we do see Tiffany Stratton getting moved over to Raw, and then she can change things up. Maybe going after the Women's World Championship with everybody over there. Maybe restart the feud with her and Naomi. Maybe have her in the Women's Intercontinental Championship scene. I think that'd be very fresh. And if you do keep her on SmackDown, I think the only thing you can do is maybe give her a rematch. Outside of that, maybe move her down to the U.S. title, because Julia needs challengers. Julia needs challengers, and they're not really giving her anything. I know they're redoing this whole rematch between her and Zelina Vega on SmackDown. I do expect Julia to potentially win there as well. So I I think that's something you could do for Tiffany if you want to keep her in something, you know, a big marquee type of match, or doing something. We'll see. But my prediction, and new women's champion Jade Cargill. The next match is a tag team match. We have Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Now, this has a little bit of a caveat because we do know Drew McIntyre is supposed to be quote unquote stuck in Canada and in the UK and can't make it potentially to SummerSlam, so that might put this match in jeopardy. But I do expect him to potentially be on SmackDown this week to further progress this storyline going into SummerSlam. Now, I would think that Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul will get the win just because they've kind of have been on the losing end of things in the recent weeks. But I do expect Randy Orton and Jelly Roll to get the win, because they always do this when we have celebrities end up being in these matches or coming in to compete, right? We've seen this numerous times. We've seen this when Bad Bunny came in. We've seen this when Logan Paul came in. When they have these celebrities or whatever come in, they want to give them the win, right? They want them to feel special. Now this right here, me personally, I think this might be one of those matches where Jelly Roll might surprise us in the sense of doing moves that we may have not been able to see in quite some time, doing things that we wouldn't expect him to do. I also got to give a shout out to Jelly Roll, because the fact that he's been putting in the work, going, training, and getting himself in the best shape that he can for this match. He's been training for 6 months. It just shows how dedicated he is to the grind, to want to make something happen, to make this work. So I think he's going to do something real special. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people in the grand scheme of things as well. But I do expect Randy Orton and Jello to get the win, and then maybe from there you could maybe do something with Drew and Randy coming out of SummerSlam going into another PLE potentially. But the next match that we're going to be talking about is Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. This is pretty much a big deal for Karrion because he's been on two straight PLEs back to back. Who's to say? And we're in 2025, and we're saying Karrion Kross has competed at Night of Champions and he's competed at SummerSlam. Now, me personally, I would think Karrion Kross deserves to get the win here because he want if the rumors are true and he's going to be staying, this would be a great way to kind of further solidify that by him getting a win over Sammy, and then just proceeds to have Sammy doubt himself and stuff like that. I think that'd be a really, really interesting story to tell, is where he's doubting himself, not knowing if he really truly has what it takes to elevate himself to that next level. He's starting to question, does he really have what it takes to become a world champion? And maybe Karrion Kross, it may be the catalyst for that, for him to think things over. So I think that'll be an interesting story, but I do expect Sami Zayn to get the win only because Karrion Kross did win on the previous match, so it's kind of 1-1. So I think Sami Zayn gets the win here. I would hope that Karrion Kross does re-sign with the company, but we can only speculate, so we will see. The next match that we're going to be talking about is the Judgment Day of Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Now, this I think might be one of those matches that might actually steal the show potentially. I'm not gonna lie to you, with everybody that's involved. We know how good Roxanne is. If you looked at her stuff that she's done in NXT, we know how good Alexa Bliss is when she's given the green light and given something to really sink her teeth into. Charlotte Flair, she's been killing it. And the crazy thing is, Charlotte is getting cheered in 2025. That was not on my bingo card at all. I was not. If you would have told me back in January that Charlotte would be getting cheered and the fans would be cheering her, I would say you're lying. I would literally think you're lying and you need some meds or something. Like literally, I would think something's wrong with you. I would not believe you. But it's crazy how things work in the land of WWE and land of wrestling, where things can change and turn on a dime. And this right here is one of those situations. Charlotte Flair is getting cheered. Right now, Charlotte and Alexa are getting more and more over every single week, it seems like, right? And I would think Charlotte and Alexa will get the win, and I do expect them to get the win. But at the same time, we're also trying to get the Judgment Day, at least for Roxanne and Raquel, to gel more and more and more, so that by the time Liv Morgan does make her return to the WWE, it's a different landscape of the Judgment Day. Now Roxanne and Raquel are stronger than ever, and they're champions potentially. I think that is an interesting story to and narrative to tell as well. And also, this is one of those matches that I feel like can honestly go either way. You can have the Judgment Day retain. You could stretch this feud out and have Charlotte and Alexa maybe win it at the next PLE, which is Clash in Paris. You could do that there if you wanted to, because it's a lot of things that kind of end up playing a factor here. We also understand where SummerSlam is taking place this year. It's taking place in New Jersey, and who's from New Jersey? AK none other than Liv Morgan, the person that was sidelined with the injury back in June. So who's to say that she does not make her grand return potentially, to potentially cost the Judgment Day the tag titles, allowing Charlotte and Alexa to get the win, and therefore you can have Morgan be back in storyline without being physically capable of doing anything. You could still have her be an on-screen character to be there to help progress and further this Judgment Day storyline until she's able to recover, and then we can kind of go from there. So that's why I think, in my personal opinion, I'm gonna say Raquel and Raquel and Roxanne will lose the tag titles. Therefore, your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. I think they're getting more over. It's time. Pull the trigger at SummerSlam. I think it'll be one of those moments that probably might get one of the biggest pops of the night, in my personal opinion. But the next match that we're going to be talking about is Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Now, if you looked at Monday Night Raw, they made Braun Breaker look like a beast, bro. This man laid out both Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, two of your biggest stars in the company. Braun Breaker laid him out. Bronson Reed laid him out. And Bronson Reed, not only that, he took Roman Reigns Jordans. And if you know anything about shoes, that's a disrespectful move if you ask me. Ask me. Like that's a low blow if you ask me. But like I think people were saying that it was gonna be maybe Jey Uso and Bronson Reed 1-on-1, and then Braun Breaker and Roman Reigns 1-on-1. I would prefer the Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker match. I would love that. But Bronson Reed and Jey Uso, I don't think really works only because it just does not give me that big fight feel where SummerSlam and WrestleMania should be, giving you like that big fight feel to an extent, and it has a big storyline going on to at the very least. And I don't think Jey Uso and Bronson Reed really had that. I think this was the best way you could have honestly went about it in doing this tag match. Now, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso can honestly get the win here because we know if you pay attention to Go Home Math, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed got pretty much destroyed them. They laid them out. So you would think Roman Reigns and Jey Uso would get the win here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are going to get the win. The reason being, one, Roman Reigns is not going to really be there after SummerSlam. He's going to be taking time off to go film a movie. So you're going to have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker still being the ones there. You want to make them feel important. You want them to feel like, hey, this is a dominant duo that will actually put anybody out of commission. This is a team that you can buy into. You need to be building the future. Braun Breaker is the future of the WWE, whether you like it or not. He is the future. And if you want to make the fans believe that, you need to have him win here. You need to have his team win here. Because with Seth Rollins not being there, which we'll talk about that in a minute, I think you need to establish this team in the absence of Seth Rollins. You need to. If you have Roman Reigns and Jey Uso win, yeah, that's a cool moment for them. It'll send the crowd home happy in a sense because they've seen their favorites win, but it doesn't do anything for them. They're already established. They're already made. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are the new stars. They're the ones that need to be made and elevated, and this is the way to do it. And I think the best way to do this is not only have Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed get the win over Roman and Jey, Braun Breaker pins Roman Reigns. I think that right there is not only submitting both of them as stars, but submitting Braun Breaker as the future. That is making a big deal out of Braun Breaker by having him pin your crown jewel in the WWE being Roman Reigns. That is how I think you need to go about this. So my prediction is going to be Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to defeat Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Now, the final match we're going to be talking about is for the World Heavyweight Championship. It is Gunther defending the world title against CM Punk. CM Punk won a gauntlet match to earn him an opportunity at this championship at SummerSlam. Now, we know this is the main event. We haven't really seen a lot of story progression. We've been kind of seeing just a few promos, and that's really it. I guess they're kind of just saving the big fight for SummerSlam. Now, me personally, I think Gunther will probably retain, but, it is always a but. Here's the thing. We know they've been kind of a little fishy with the whole Seth Rollins injury. Now, I'm not saying he's not injured, because it's always a possibility. But how I see it is I think he's injured, but not to the extent that we all think. I think he may have injured something to where he might be out for a couple of weeks, but that's about it. What I think is going to happen, because it's going to be this is going to be the main event of night one. What I think is going to happen, Gunther and CM Punk are going to kill it. They're going to have a great match. And it looks like where maybe Punk is about to put Gunther away. Seth Rollins makes his return and literally WrestleMania 31 type of feel. He makes it a triple threat by cashing in. He wins the world championship by pinning CM Punk, because what did Seth Rollins say? He said, as long as I have air in my lungs, as long as me and you are in the same company, I'm going to devote my time to make sure you never become a world heavyweight champion. And this right here is going to elevate that story to a new level because now Punk has been screwed over, just like Punk screwed over Drew, allowing for none other than Damian Priest to cash in last year. It comes full circle, and now literally CM Punk is in the Drew potential scenario where he maybe wins the title only to get it taken away by Seth Rollins. Now, I think that'd be a great way to have that, how night one end is with. Now, we're going to move on to night two. So we're going to start off with Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyrie for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The caveat is this is pretty much Noah's barred. And if Lyra loses, she can no longer challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Now, I'm going to be real with y'all. This right here might be one of my favorite matches I'm looking forward to on SummerSlam. These two have killed it. They have elevated Lyra to a new level with the stuff that they've been doing with her since WrestleMania. Becky Lynch has elevated, pretty much shown that she's still got it in the tank, that she could still be a great champion. And I'm loving the character work that she's been producing in recent weeks as well, and whatnot. But what do I think is going to happen in this match, right? I do think this is going to be great. I think it's going to be just like the matches they had at Backlash and Money in the Bank, and even the triple threat that we had at Evolution. But I do think Becky will retain. The reason why is because there's two different scenarios that where I think this can play out. Either Becky wins or Lyra wins, right? But if Lyra wins, she's going to be facing Bayley. But if Becky wins, it's because Bayley comes in, screws over Lyra Valkyria, and helps Becky retain. And then you can have this be almost like a two-woman power trip on Monday Night Raw, where maybe whenever Becky does lose that title, you can have, you know, Becky and Bayley be in the tag division. I think that'd be another great team you can add to that division that they're trying to potentially build up. Just imagine Becky and Bayley versus Charlotte and Alexa. I think that could be a great match. I think you have different outs here. I think it doesn't really hurt Lyra to if she were to lose this, but I understand that you're trying to build her up. I think with the work that she's been putting in, you could honestly maybe send her over to SmackDown and you could put her in the U.S. title division because Julia, like I said earlier, needs challengers. She'd be the perfect challenger to take the title from Julia. You could potentially move her up to the world title scene for a little bit. You could do that to see and test her and see how she does. I think that'd be an interesting way as well. So I think for me personally, I would not mind seeing Lyra Valkyria win, but I do think Becky is going to win because of the help from Bayley. So my prediction, and still Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. Now the next match is we're going to be talking about is for the U.S. Championship. We have Solo Sikoa defending against Jacob Fatu in a steel cage. Jacob Fatu lost the title to Solo with the numbers game back at Night of Champions, and Jacob Fatu is pretty much trying to go at Solo, but Solo's been kind of ducking and dodging to the point where we're in a steel cage match, and I do expect this match to be really, really good, and I do expect however this match plays out, whether you do the numbers game, whatever the case may be. My prediction, Jacob Fatu becomes your new United States champion. I think he's gonna become your newest U.S. champion. I don't. I love what they've been trying to do with Solo, but it's not really clicking for me personally. It might be clicking for someone else, but for me personally, it's not really clicking. So my prediction, and still, and new U.S. champion Jacob Fatu. The next match we're going to be talking about is for the Women's World Championship Triple Threat. Naomi defending the championship against Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. Now, this was not on my bingo card either. I did not think Naomi... I seen Naomi becoming champion, but I did not see her winning the Women's World Championship. I thought they were setting things up to potentially have her face or compete maybe against a Bianca one-on-one or something on night one. And then she went on and cashed in against Jade Cargill to take the title from her or made sure she didn't win. I think that would have been an interesting storyline to see play out, but that was not the case. We ended up having Naomi do a swerve and cash in on Raw. This is a great way because it gets, we're kind of, me personally, I don't think they're going to do the big three storyline. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air right now. I feel like it would kind of be kind of awkward unless you're going to send Jade Cargill and Bianca over to Raw, but I don't think you're going to do that because you're trying to have it somewhat evenly balanced, if that makes sense. So my thing is this: I feel as if Jade is gonna win the championship, Naomi's going to win the championship. I think Bianca takes the title from maybe a Jade Cargill. Naomi, I mean, is going to be over on Raw. So, you know what I mean? So it's kind of would be kind of awkward to do this victory storyline if you had Naomi leave SmackDown, cash in, win a championship on a different brand, hold that championship for a little bit, lose it, only to go back to the opposite brand just to do the storyline. It would be kind of awkward. So I don't think they're going to do that, but I do think this match is going to be really good. Now, we did see Rhea and Io have a little bit of back and forth a little bit on this past Monday's Raw, where Rhea told Io that we're friends now, but at SummerSlam we are going to be competitors. And Io pretty much said, "You never beat me, and you never will." I think they're definitely telling that story still, where maybe Rhea does defeat Io at some point, and then she goes on to become champion. I think that might be the story that they're trying to tell. So I do think Rhea and Io kind of cancel each other out just because they're going to be trying to pin each other. And I think Naomi is going to end up winning this match. I just think you just gave her the championship. I don't think you have her lose this early, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. And if they did have anyone else win, I do think Rhea Ripley probably would get the win here. But I do expect Naomi to potentially win this, go off to compete against Stephanie. Maybe Stephanie does to be the one to take the title for her. And then maybe at Crown Jewel, you can do Stephanie and Rhea. I think that's a match that they want to do, and it would make sense because I think you want to build up Stephanie McCoy. I think the WWE even said themselves they have big plans for her, major plans going into the fall this year. So I think that would probably somewhat conclude include, I would say, a women's championship match or a win for her. So I would expect that to potentially come to fruition. Now, the next match that we're going to be talking about is for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Dominic Mysterio defending against AJ Styles. We see in a mixed tag match with those with AJ and the Kabuki Warriors versus Dominic and Judgment Day. I do expect this match to be really good. I'd really expect them to show how good Dominic can be. He's been kind of getting more and more popular as of late. The stuff that he's been doing on WWE, he recently showed up to AAA and he got a mega pop over there. Now he's competing for the AAA Mega Championship in just a couple of weeks, and I think they're going to be doing some big things with Dominic, and I expect him to win this match. I do expect Dominic to win over AJ because I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger on this just yet. I think Dominic is going to lose it at some point. I do think, and some they could potentially have it here, maybe because we know SummerSlam has been known for a couple of things. We know it's for one, the return of Roman Reigns, and two, the downfall of the Judgment Day and the Judgment Day split. We've seen it last year, and we've seen it the year before that. I can see a situation where maybe we start to tell that story where the Judgment Day is falling apart, and we see that here where AJ wins the championship and Dominic is no longer Intercontinental Champion anymore. So that is a story that you could potentially tell, and I would not be upset about it. I just don't think they're going to tell it just yet. And I forgot to mention when we were talking about the women's tag title match, we could also do that as well because we could have the Judgment Day retain because we did see the Kabuki Warriors get the win. So that's kind of making me feel as if maybe the Kabuki Warriors might be the next tag, at least the next opponents for the Judgment Day if the Judgment Day does retain at SummerSlam. That's just another thought I just had while talking about the Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles match. But when it's all said and done, I do expect Dominic Mysterio to be retain the Intercontinental Championship. The next match that we're going to be talking about is a TLC match. Yes, this is finally one of those matches that I'm looking forward to that should have been on WrestleMania, but we're getting it on SummerSlam. We're getting it regardless. We're getting the Wyatt Six defending the championships against Andrade and Rey Fenix, against DIY of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, Fraxium of Axiom and Nathan Frazier, against Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, versus the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. This match is going to be an absolute car wreck. This is going to be absolute chaos and an absolute banger. But who do I have win? Now, if I have to do it, I'm going to do process of elimination. I'm going to take Street Profits out because they already were champions. They just lost them. I don't think they'll win it back. DIY has been doing great. I don't think they're going to win it either. Motor City, I don't think is going to win either. I think it comes down to three teams. The Wyatt Six, Andrade, and Rey Fenix, and Fraxium. Now, Fraxium recently did lose a match against the Wyatt Six, so I don't know if they want to get the win back. And it's a ladder match, so nobody would be looking weak even in a loss. So my prediction is potentially for the Wyatt Six to retain. But if we do crown new champions, I'm gonna go Andrade and Rey Fenix because they have been killing it. They recently did have an opportunity to compete for the title, but it ended in shenanigans. So I do expect Andrade and Rey Fenix to potentially be your new champions. But the stake on the safe side, because they just gave them the tag titles, I'm gonna say the Wyatt Six will retain the tag team championship. But overall, this is a good look for the tag team division. Overall look for the better division and it's not Raw, it's SmackDown because SmackDown's been killing it this entire year with their tag team division. They should have had them on WrestleMania, but they didn't. They gave it to the Raw tag team side of things, and that match did not do anything. It didn't do anybody any favors at all. But they're making up for it by giving it to us at SummerSlam, and I think this match is going to kill it, just like the match that they did the week after WrestleMania, which was really good. And I expect this to really kill it. Potentially, maybe even steal the show for night 2 for sure. And then the final match that we're going to be talking about is a street fight for the WWE Championship. We have John Cena defending the championship against Cody Rhodes. Now, this has a lot of implications on it. Potentially, we know John Cena and Cody Rhodes might be filming a movie. Cody Rhodes could potentially lose this, and John Cena could retain because you can have an out that Cody Rhodes, it was a street fight. You can use anything to your advantage, and that might be what they could end up doing. But they're also talking about this double turn. They're also talking about potentially The Rock coming in and helping Cody Rhodes win the championship, having John Cena go back to the face, and Cody Rhodes going to be a heel. And I think that would be the most interesting way to have this match culminate because, if we all know, the match that at WrestleMania didn't really live up to anybody's expectations. It felt like a letdown. It was lackluster, especially for it to be the main event. So, for me personally, who do I think is going to win this? I would not be surprised if John Cena were to win this, but I do expect Cody Rhodes to win this, maybe with some shenanigans, maybe with the help of The Rock, as long as it's not Travis Scott. Please no. But I do expect Cody Rhodes to potentially win the championship and become a two-time champion. But y'all comment down below. Let me know what are your predictions for SummerSlam this weekend for both night 1 and night 2. Also, I will be reacting to my subscribers' predictions and hot takes going into SummerSlam. So y'all stay tuned for that. That might be coming Friday. So y'all stay tuned for that because I will be dropping that video. But with that being said, super kick that like button. Helps my channel get pushed across that platform so more people can see what I'm doing over here on YouTube. Superman punch that post notification bell and speed the subscribe button. Takes 3 seconds out of your day. Do those 3 things for me. Helps the progression of my channel as well. But with that being said, hope everyone has a great day, great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.